Right, guys, welcome back to another episode of TakeOff. We're back today and joined with my ugly twin.
Thanks, Mick.
Patrick, who is filled with cold and flu, and you can hear him sniff, and it's disgusting, so I apologise.
Sorry.
I've told him already like 5 occasions this morning, look, again, number 2. What's the crack, mate?
Get on with not much on the mend.
So, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. Been a bit sick recently, Mick, so it's been in and out of work and up and down, but...
STD?
No.
You wish.
Not this time. Not this time, no.
You have to do something for that to happen, mate, don't you?
You have to actually go out and speak to someone.
Yeah, exactly. You're weird like that.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's, don't know what it is, but I'm back on the mend now.
Yeah. I had it a few weeks ago.
STD?
No, the black lung, the plague.
Yeah.
Man flu.
That's what it is. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah. Started off there with trickly throat, and I went COVID. But you know what? You were
never testing where you're like...
Nah. I rang a doctor and all. He's like, have you tested yourself? And I was like, yeah.
Big time.
You're always land a doctor.
3 times.
Yeah, it's not getting a doc. Not getting a double line. But yeah, no, it's been interesting. So I got back from holidays, I think end of May.
7 weeks ago?
No.
Less? 4 weeks ago?
4 weeks ago, yeah. Only back a month today. But it's been stop-start, end of financial year. Obviously, lots of stuff going on in the industry at the minute, but it's been a bit like lots going on, but not lots going on.
Yeah, it's been a bit stop-start, hasn't it?
Yeah.
People waiting on things, no one's committing.
Sounds.
What do you do? Like,
it's been interesting. So, so what else has been going on? I heard you bought a horse. to the listeners out there, right? This man's had a few good months, and he's went and bought himself a horse, and is now. What would you call yourself? Like maybe if you stumbled into someone in the street, would you say, I'm an equestrian investor?
I don't know what I would say anymore.
What?
I don't know. A bit of a. I don't know, Mick. I might just go down the horse route if this recruitment game doesn't pick up.
Well, what success have you had so far?
With the horse? Well, she's in the paddocks, like, so she got there.
That's a start, isn't it?
She got there, yeah.
How old is she, like?
She's 1 year old.
Is she right enough?
Yeah.
Right. So who owned her before you?
Well, the stables that we bought her off.
And why did they get rid of her? That's what I want to know. When someone's going to and buy a house.
Why are you looking rid of it? Or a car? It's not like a car. Like, she was born, obviously.
Right.
And the stables breed horses.
Right.
So, and then they bring them to market and sell.
What made you buy her than compared to another one?
Well, we went to look at one.
Right.
We went to look at a boy, actually. And he was too small. He was tiny. We knobbly knees, wasn't walking straight. And then I happened to pan round.
Reminds me of someone.
I had a few beers in me at this stage too. And I happened to pan round and seen this big, gorgeous filly.
What does a filly mean? Speak to me.
A girl.
Why do you call it filly?
Because that's what they're called.
They're called filly, like a
filly.
fish, like a fish fillet you get from McDonald's.
So a bay filly is to you a brown girl.
Oh, right? Wow! Right. You wouldn't want to say that to some people.
So I looked at her and she had big legs, big front, big chest, big bum.
Jesus,
gorgeous horse.
Sounds great.
So I said to Jack, my good mate, I said, let's look at her, and then we went into auction.
Are you better off from a financial point of view having a female or a male?
Well, most race horses you go for a male.
Why?
Well, because generally they're bigger and they're stronger. Take that out.
Mate, you're gonna get cancelled for
that. Take that out quick. But generally you do. But we just really like love her. She was class.
Right.
So, and she comes.
And so, can you breed her? Can you breed her?
Well, yeah, you could take her whenever she finishes racing. You can, but we're not going to race her. Right. We're just going to get her ready to run.
Tell me this: is there capital gains tax on horses?
Don't know.
Probably want to have a look into that.
Hopefully not.
So I didn't realize this. I bought a house like last year, and everyone was saying, "Oh, so in New Zealand there's no capital gains, right?"
Yeah.
And I only found out like 2 nights ago that there is capital gains.
What?
So because I don't live in the house and I rented it out because it's a bit shit. Right?
Yeah.
I rented it out, moved somewhere else. If you don't live in your house and you sell it within 10 years, there's a capital gains.
Right. So you have to actually live there.
Yeah. So you have to hold on to it for 10 years or live there permanently.
Right.
So I'm fucked, basically. So I got absolutely hammered on that.
If you sell it within the 10?
Yeah. But it's not like Belfast, you know what I mean, where everyone's doing back-to-handers everywhere. Like no one, you know, you get a mortgage and you friggin' throw your cousin into it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like everything's quite like there's loads of contractual stuff. Your bond is put with like some friggin' bond keeper who's government or whatever. All that shit.
That'll be some job, wouldn't it?
So yeah, but in other news, did you see the shed in Oraki that was sold for $2 million?
The boat shed.
The boat shed. Now, this is literally a friggin'.
I thought they were getting tore down when I first seen them. They look terrible.
They are shite,
They
right?
look awful.
And you know how they were selling it, right?
What?
So it's not it's an occupancy, or at least the occupancy, right? So you don't even own it. You just like occupy it, right?
Right.
It's not freehold. There's no running water. There's no kitchen. There's no bathroom. There's literally nothing in it, right? And someone's bought it for $2,050,000, right?
What is
Cash, because the banks won't even finance it, so it's pure cash.
So is it literally to put a boat in?
So what they were calling it was a day batch.
A day batch.
Yeah. So anyone in Australia, I don't know if you know what a batch is, but it's just like a holiday home.
Like
So you're not like,
Airbnb.
so you're legally you're not allowed to sleep in it.
Right.
So that's why they're calling it a day batch.
So would you
I
just
reckon-
go chill in it?
You basically
A few beers in it?
rock up one of those foldable chairs.
We camp chair.
I sit there, hear the rain, and
You
then
could build one of them.
exactly for $2 million, right? So some loony bin
Yeah.
bought it for $2 million cash, but then you go, someone 2 years ago bought one for 1.3, so you go, this guy's an investor. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna be
Day batch entrepreneur.
100%.
But what are you going to do with it though? Like, what are you supposed to do with it?
I think they would look cool if they were all painted up now at the front of them, throw a few cafes and all in there.
It would look like what do you call that place in Melbourne? Brighton. Is it Brighton Beach?
Yeah, Brighton Beach. Yeah.
But it's not. It doesn't look like Brighton Beach now.
No, it looks shite.
It looks like Holy Land.
No, so you want someone to buy all of them,
Yeah.
but there's like 10. So who's buying that for 20 mil? Do you know what I mean? It's on the
10
water.
shades.
10 shades.
And that water's not even. The tide's always out there, so it's like shitty, mucky ground.
And no, and you just it's
You
it's
just
grim.
sit in the boat on the fucking seabed.
Exactly. Anyway, that's how mental. If you ever complained about your gaff, $2 million for a shed.
There's no switch in it.
In New Zealand's absolutely mental. House prices gone off the scale in Australia again. Got some stuff to talk about today. State of the market, right? So we chatting to someone a few weeks ago. They told me that residential builders are trading 18% of them trading insolvent.
If
Bum.
I don't doubt the man told you it, but that's insane if true.
But
But
this
you think
guy
there's
was-
more?
So I've been chatting. I've been throwing that statistic around like confetti.
I've
you know
heard
what I
it
mean?
40 times yet
You
this
know what I
week.
mean? Everyone thinks you're like
Get out of them, they're useless.
clued in. But no, everyone I'm talking to saying that there's the expectation is actually more than that. So it could be half of them. Could be more. It could be 70, 80%.
Why? We did talk about this before in terms of resi builders and was there such a demand for housing? How is it just because it's so competitive that they're running themselves into the ground, lower margins? What's
So
going on?
I think it's a legacy thing that's come around from COVID, where they bought into contracts during COVID. So say, I don't know, just for talk's sake, they purchase land or, developers come in, purchase land, they've given a price for it, they have to stick to the price, the materials go crazy, salaries go crazy.
Yeah.
Delays. So I think like you're getting, there's some projects that are going to be fined like 5, 10, 20, 100 grand a day because they're not actually actively working.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the bigger so the later it gets, the more fines they're accruing. It's a really messy situation. And I think within high rise residential there is a lot of competition.
Yeah.
So I mean you have less barriers to get into that market.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And then again, it's like resi space as well. Everyone's a bit dodgy, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and no one really likes resi. It's not like sexy, isn't it? Not.
but you can work on those, like, say, I know, a 20-story high rise, right?
Yeah.
With your penthouses could be,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 million.
I
They're
know.
pretty sick, but typically, once you've done, from what everyone says to me, is once you've done one, you've done them all. Because I mean, you're fronting a kitchen, you're
Yeah.
fronting a bathroom. and you're doing that on every level.
I know.
Do
Some
you know what I mean?
some resi companies though are quite like, they're sticklers, aren't they, for resi experience? They're like, no, unless they have residential or medium rise or whatever it may be, we're not really interested in stuff.
Yeah. It's weird.
Which makes it quite difficult for resourcing requirements.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. It's high rise residential. There's definitely merit in it though, working in that space, because it's no matter where you go in the world, typically they are building vertical housing.
Yeah.
You know, so whether that's student accommodation, whether that's hotels, whether that's luxury high rise, whatever it might be, there's a merit to it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good industry to be in, but you wanna back the right horse. You know what I mean? Let's see how many times we can put horse into this conversation. But you do want to back the pin your flag for the right one. It is difficult to know. So if you're like a CA, like who do you go to right now? Like fucking who knows? Like you had Condev, like obviously go broke. You had other big notable industry players. You know,
there was a big one on Gold Coast that was a bit unsure recently as well. We didn't know what was going to happen with those guys.
So it's one of those things that you've got to do your due diligence. I'd probably speak to the subcontractors first and see what their payments are like. Are their payments 30 days late? Are payments on time? It just depends. So it's an interesting one. And then moving away from that private sector, from what I'm hearing is everyone's just sitting waiting on government to make decisions right now.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely been like a bit of a slowdown in terms of, okay, we don't need two, maybe we need one, or we'll look at one, or it's 4 weeks, it's 6 weeks down the line. There's just a little bit of a break on movement, especially in delivery as well.
I spoke to a business owner the other day, and he says, I'll be hiring two or firing two.
Hiring two or firing two?
Yeah.
In the next, couple of weeks when
he
decisions are made?
It's basically whenever he knows.
Christ.
So they either be taking two on or firing two. So that's kind of gives you an idea of like where the market's at right at the minute. It is on a bit of a knife edge, but it is confusing because we have all this government work. But I think if you're not, in that government space, you might struggle a bit, especially if you're more sort of generalist.
Yeah.
If you're not known for industrial, or if you're not known for, say, even residential, or, if you're very broad, I don't know, I think you're going to find it very competitive.
Yeah.
Trying to find work. And it's going to get more and more competitive because all these companies hired a lot over the last 18 months. So they've probably increased their headcount, say 30%.
Yeah.
So if they increase their headcount 30%, the revenue needs to increase 30%. So they're trying to find 30% more projects. And then projects are coming to a close and stuff.
Yeah. And some recent health awards there as well, which I'm sure there's a couple of companies where maybe disappointed or have over leveraged not to win some health work.
Yeah.
Which is massive because that's going to soak up a lot of resources now too.
Yeah. So I'm hearing Built, John Holland, Wattpack, I think Hanson Yuncken are doing some.
They get the main works.
Yeah, but so there's like your big hospitals, right? But then there's all this sort of like smaller stuff, sort of sub 100 million.
Yeah.
So stuff that's gone up in Cairns, stuff that's gone in Townsville. So this is Queensland Health. This isn't obviously Brisbane Health. Do you know what I mean? So Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast. So they're developing healthcare massively in Queensland. So they're obviously they're the big fish. Obviously working on on those big projects. But it'd be interesting to see who gets those smaller jobs, like those like renovation, facilities, upgrades, and end of use, all that sort of stuff. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But on the other stuff, you still have defence. There's nothing happening at the moment. You still have healthcare, defence, education. Not really seeing much.
Yeah. Where do you see the sort of biggest growth then? Well, let's say for the rest of this year, where do you think the demand's still going to be? Because with recent big awards, is it now going to be that delivery side, or we're looking at more? Because there's been a bit of an increase in our demand for CAs. Yeah. Recently, some companies have been very responsive actually to to overseas QSs as well.
Yeah. So the market's so saturated at the moment, as you know, that there's just not. So you have a CA who's working for Hutchies, or you have a CA who's working for John Holland. Like, why do they move from one company to the next? The only reason they're moving is for salary.
Yep.
Mostly because the job title is going to be the same. The responsibility is the same. Everything's the same. So it's a tricky one. My opinion is you probably have to open your horizons to overseas guys. There are more and more candidates or companies opening up to guys from UK, Ireland, New Zealand. The difficulty is for contractors is they're always hard fast now.
Yeah.
So they want them now. They generally don't have the patience or the time, the freedom to wait 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're like, well, we're losing money, so we need someone in here now.
Yeah.
And we'd rather pay 30k more and get the person in now because they're going to start saving us, you know, 50, 100k a week or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's easy. I definitely have noticed a change in the market from a job security point of view. What have you thought about that?
Well, as in feedback from candidates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's been a bit more hesitancy in terms of looking for opportunities. I definitely feel, but I think that's trickled down from clients doing a lot of consolidation recently. Maybe just pumping the brakes, seeing where we are, racing towards. You know, I think it's just a bit of a recap sort of phase for them at the moment, and looking for the next sort of 6 months, seeing what happens at the end of the year.
It's end of financial year.
Yeah.
So I think usually June, July are always a bit like grunty, you know, like you're bashing through things, you're just clearing
School
things
holidays.
out, getting things done, school holidays. And then usually I find August starts to really pick up again, September, and then right through to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then a bit of a slow in November.
Well, not really.
Towards Christmas?
Like, meh. I don't really believe in that shit.
No.
Yeah, I mean, once it hits December, they're like, right, we need to start January or we need to start now. Do you know what I mean? That's just typical you. Like, thinking November's time to take off. That's you starting to slow down. Like, that's what you get on. Like,
maybe it's just New Zealand then. Living in New Zealand.
That island time. Not in Fiji, mate. You know what I mean? No, but it is. I mean, it is what it is. Usually, like, depending on the company, if it's a contractor, they'll go, right, get them in soon as. But people generally go, I'll start after Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But I actually find January is probably the worst time to start because it's so dead in Australia. Like, there's nothing happening. So you've got your holidays, which are nearly up until like the middle of January, and then you've got Australia Day. You know, it's a very stop-start time. Do you know what I mean? So you're not really getting a real full run of things. So you may as well start in December.
That's
you know what I mean?
Well, take that away. What about the news of Downer?
What's that?
With their being bought over?
In
Australia with their infrastructure division.
Who bought them over?
Some Malaysian crowd, Gamuda or G something. I can't remember.
Gadden. Gadden is acquired Downer. That would be some crack.
Spread it.
I would love this to some viral marketing. Downer or Gadden has acquired Hutchies in a record deal today.
The photo of us in here.
Yeah, the Gold Coast Bulletin sitting there with Scott the Hutchinson. The good crack, like. But
yeah, they're bought over.
See, to be honest, I literally couldn't care less about Downer. Like, I honestly,
that's such a sweeping statement. What do you mean you couldn't care less about them?
I don't know. They just bore me to tears. Like,
do you hate Downer?
I fucking hate Downer. They're shite. Their fucking road cones are everywhere you go.
Oh, the road cones are so annoying.
Road cone war. That's what it is.
They're the worst.
How much is? You know what shite that came out with last week with their portfolio simplification strategy?
See that?
How you simplify your portfolio? Get rid of
sell your business.
No, get rid of half your friggin' road cones. How much are they spending on that?
I know.
What's a road cone? I'm gonna Google it here, right? See how much a road
cone to make. $5.
How much is a road cone?
And they've got thousands of them on every road.
Right. Do you reckon where you could do like Google Shop?
Yeah.
Road cone. Hold on.
This is something.
Hold on here. Look, right. No word of a lie. First one that comes up: $240.97 for one road cone.
To buy?
Yeah. A Granger one that must be branded.
High tech.
Yeah, look at that.
Is it light up?
240.97 for a road cone.
You find them in every house in the Highlands too. Come home with them after a night out.
But so where I live, there must be, and this is no joke. There must be 1,000 in my street.
Near Glen too.
So 240 times 1,000, right?
This is great podcast for everyone.
250,000 road cones, right? Just get rid of your road cones and just start.
Well,
that's one.
The directive has been, as you said, portfolio simplification strategy, which means
laying people off.
Yeah, we're just going to cut half of it.
Cut hard. Remember that one in COVID?
What?
That was Jacinda Ardern. That was don't talk about her.
Don't
but
be slagging Jacinda.
No, what was it? Go fast, go hard, or something.
What did that mean?
It was.
That could mean a lot of things.
But it was like we're gonna react quickly and we're gonna make a real tough decision right now. Do you know what I mean? You're like, fuck's sake. Anyway, but that's what they got to do. They're making big cuts, obviously. Fair play.
As in their simplification strategy, it's infrastructure in New Zealand is remaining, roads, I think, and then the maintenance services they provide.
Yeah,
but they're now called DTI.
Who?
Downer.
Or called DTI. So they got rid of the Downer brand.
DTI something infrastructure. Can't remember.
Right enough. So so they've been rebranded.
Yeah, DTI. They're advertising stuff as well. I don't know whether the whole thing, but they've bought over certain functions of the business and are now under DTI. And then Downer are remaining in those three things: New Zealand road maintenance services and something else are Downer.
Right, interesting.
I know.
So like Hawkins are owned by Downer.
Yeah.
So they're going to be owned by DTI.
I don't think so.
So they get that's mental. Big moves, guys. Big moves in the market. But no one really cares about New Zealand market in Australia. Like they look at it and go, it's Papua New Guinea out there. I mean, that's what they.
We should go to Papua New Guinea do a podcast.
Are you serious?
Why not?
You literally need
Port Moresby.
Have you watched the documentaries?
I've seen some of them. Yeah,
I'm obsessed with PNG, right?
Yeah, it's a lawless place. But is there not some decent side to it? There's half its owned by Indonesia. You know that?
No, so it's Papua New Guinea is like one. It's like a big block of land, and then there's like it's like cut
what
down.
What a lovely way to describe
it. It's like cut down the middle, and then there's Papua, isn't there? And then there's Papua New Guinea,
or I don't know, New Guinea or something. Yeah,
it's weird. Like
we should go there. You're looking for new podcast locations recently.
I know, but I wasn't thinking of being eaten by the.
But that's
the
what got people. That's people will watch that one.
Because they want me to
Papua New Guinea. I'll be great.
We've been kidnapped. They still eat each other out there.
Do they?
Yep.
Fair play.
Mate, that's mental.
I heard some.
Have you ever seen Ross Kemp going out there? It is hilarious.
I haven't.
So like Ross Kemp. I used to hate him. Phil Mitchell, wasn't it Grant?
No, Grant.
Right. So Grant, he goes into the jungle. Right, it's him and his cameraman, and these boys come out and they're out the guns and all, and they come over to him and they like literally point the gun at him. And he grabs the gun and turns it back and he's like, starts squaring up to them.
What
and I was
legend.
like, there he is, Grant, what a hero. He's like, you think you're a hard man now? I was like, go ahead, son. I was like, I'd literally never, I'd be on my knees going, yep. No,
whatever, take the watch, take the lot.
Yeah, take
the business.
I'd take the Highlander.
No, that would be good. That would get people involved.
Yeah, I know.
Papua New Guinea podcast.
So, other construction news, interesting to hear about Richard Crooks, right?
Well,
but before we get sued, let's just preface this and say that there's absolutely nothing happening. Richard Crooks, business as usual.
Solid. They're great
but it was
business.
interesting that AFR came out, that's Australian Financial Review, to say the liquidators were basically
in reception
swarming Richard Crooks. But that must have took
what a mad story, like.
So that came out, and then I was like, "Whoa, what's happened here?"
You sent me a screenshot right away.
Yeah, and then within, I reckon 45 minutes to an hour, it was like Richard Crooks' statement based on this. AFR had changed their article. Some posts on LinkedIn had been deleted, and I was like, "Thank God I didn't make a post." Do you know what I mean?
We'll start tapping up people.
Yeah, but like it's a really good, like Richard Crooks are a really good business. They turn over $1 billion a year. They are very well respected, so like it's a concern. I think the market, if something like that was to happen in the market, like someone of that notable
the size,
that could be very concerning, you know, and start to bring in a lot of fear into from a candidate point of view.
Already fearful market.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's talking to me about a recession, right? But I'm like, how can there be a recession if inflation dropped this week to 5.6%, right? So if the inflation is already is dropping, and we've got 10 years of work ahead, like it's not like, you know, war we're fighting the next project, but it might be that if you're not in a position, you know, you might need to pivot, you know, you might need to look at how we get into more social infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. But everyone's talking about it, and it's interesting. I don't know.
I think some companies we've heard recently as well that they're maybe taking a step back from chasing those big, massive, sexy projects and just look, we're happy doing the 30 to 50 mil range and just nailing that.
Yeah. So if you're a business, right, and you go, we're tying our business future to 2-3, $300 million projects.
Yeah.
I mean, it's risky because they don't get awarded any of them. You know, what are you doing next? You know, so I know there's businesses out there that are going, right, with one, you know, an $800 million project, but that ain't kicking off for 2 years. So now we need 2 years of smaller projects. Yeah. You know, like $50 million jobs, $150 million jobs, $20 million. If you're in the Queensland market and you're like a tier 2 builder, the best market's probably 20 to 100. Yeah. You know, that's where the consistent repetition is.
That's where a lot of those businesses have made their names, though.
Yeah, but like Hutchies have completely dominated that market for decades.
Like Adco have done really well in that space too. And then you start to see, obviously, just through pure ambition and growth, looking to break into that tier 1 space. But it's seemingly with recent health awards, it's not that easy. Yeah. To break into that sort of, you know, large scale.
What's going to be interesting is the amount of health people now on the market. So when the projects have been awarded, that's all the contractors care about. Yeah. And then they've been awarded, but the ones that have bought people into the business for those projects and they haven't won them, what are they doing with them? Because if you're a health specialist but you haven't won any healthcare projects, then what are you doing? Yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure how it works, but I'd imagine. So you have all these projects are been 10 billion or something, or 12 billion of healthcare. Yeah. So if you think about that, like it's not like there's going to be another 12 billion in healthcare in 5 years. Yeah. Like this is it for the next decade.
This could be health for 10, 20 years.
Pretty much.
As in a big infrastructure spend.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I would imagine you'll start to see, you know, senior PMs, maybe not PMs, but say senior estimators, you know, maybe some of your guys in bid management and all that sort of stuff, front end type of stuff, who haven't won a health. They'll either get snapped up by the ones who have won health, or they'll be potentially having to look at like consultancy, going, you know, from design management into a project management role in consultancy.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably a nice natural route for someone, especially at DM, and we'll talk about that later on, but that transition across. But there's going to be loads of health work with consultancy. So
wrap it up.
Yeah,
time out. Tea.